I've seen them all: covert, overt, grandiose, malignant. Believe me, I've seen them all. So I know what the red flags are that you are in a relationship with a narcissist. And I don't want you to go down that path. So let's dive in and figure out if you are in a relationship with a narcissist right now. Okay. So, number one, it's too much too soon. Too much too soon. Right away, you just feel intoxicated by this person. They're sweeping you off your feet, but you're just like you can't breathe almost because they want to just move in with you right away. They want to get you into a contract right away. They want to get whatever that next level is. They want to get you to that next level as soon as possible. And so when you are with the person that is just flooding you almost immediately with, if you've got kids, I got to meet your kids. If you've got family, I want to meet your family. I want to move in. I want to, get to that next level as soon as possible. Flooding your emails, flooding your texts. You're the one. You're my soulmate. We have our star crossed. They are letting you know that they've never met anybody like you before. They make you feel like you are the most incredible human being they've ever met. They intoxicate you with their charm, their charisma. Usually they're very well dressed, they're very well groomed, they're very well spoken. They are pretty incredible with everything lining up perfectly. And they've studied you, by the way. They've read you. They know how to read the room, they know how to read you, they've mirrored you, they know how to show up so that all the pheromones are going off and you're just completely swept off your feet thinking, where has this person been all my life? And this is in a business situation or a romantic situation, by the way. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what kind of a situation it is. And no boundaries. No boundaries, by the way. At the beginning of the relationship, wherever you are, that's where they are. They are everywhere. They are showing up, emails, texts. They are seriously flooding you all the time. It is just too much too soon. So that's number one. That's the love bombing stage. They call it the idealization phase. They're literally conditioning you. This is their input phase. This is the deposits because they are getting ready to make some hefty withdrawals. And this does not last. They'll say whatever they need to get you to that next level. They'll future fake you to the moon because, they can say whatever they want to say because they don't plan on delivering any of it. You've heard the term bait and switch. That's bait and switch to the hilt. Okay. The next thing that you will hear, another big, huge red flag, oftentimes that you're in a relationship with a narcissist, is many times there's some sob story about their past. Whether or not they had a horrible childhood, they had terrible trauma, they had a horrible ex, that, usually it's some ex that was awful, keeping their kids away from them. There's some victim thing going on about something. They want you to feel sorry for them because they're conditioning to see if you're going to be empathetic, if you are going to be a good person, if you're going to be a good source of supply. They're going to see if you're caring and take care of them. So they're going to let you know about how awful things have been for them. And you're going to want to say, oh no, this is awful. There's going to be something about their past or something that's going to draw you in. Okay, so some sob story about how awful things have been with them in the past. All right. So that's the second thing. Some family relationship that's terrible. All right. The third major red flag is they're immediately going to be very jealous of your time and attention with other people, and especially people that you're close to. Why do you need to spend time with them? You have me. Why are you spending so much time on the phone? Let's spend time just with each other. Things of that nature. Come on, let's spend time just the two of us. We don't get enough time with just us. They're going to immediately start to isolate you from the people that you're close to, from the people that you have spent the most of time with. Oh, your friends are so immature. Oh, they don't really like me, things like that. So immediately jealous of you. Oh, that person was looking at you. I don't like that. And, sometimes if you are an insecure person, you might like that this person is jealous, or you might like that. It can be a huge red flag if this person is overly controlling, overly jealous. I don't like you when you're wearing that. I don't like when you're wearing that outfit. That's too revealing. Things like that. That can be not a good sign when they're overly jealous or controlling like that right from the beginning. That's a huge red flag, right? And if you've seen any of these things so far, give me a totally in the comments. And if you've seen that, then it's probably a huge red flag. All right, next one, I alluded to this at the beginning with the too much too soon, is they want that immediate commitment. Immediate commitment. This is where they're looking for, I want to move in. I want you to marry me. I want you to sign something. I want you to get to that next level right away. They want to get to the devalue stage as quickly as possible, because once they lock you in, once they get to that next level, then they can start to relax a little bit and get to what they want to really be able to do, which is start making some withdrawals. I want to really start collecting on some narcissistic supply here. I don't really want to have to keep making deposits, because, it's kind of exhausting for them. They don't want to have to keep, satisfying your needs at all, actually. So they want an immediate commitment, right? So they want to lock you down. They want to lock down that source of supply. So that's number 4. Number 5 is the future faking. The future faking. Planning right away what it's all going to look like. Right away, what the future is. We're going to get married. We're going to have babies. We're going to, like, within the first 2 weeks, even sometimes, we're going to have this life together. We're going to live on a farm. We're going to live in a city. We're going to have a big house. All of these things right away. Whether or not they plan on delivering any of that doesn't matter, because they want to immediately lock you in. They want to get you to that commitment right away. So let's talk about the gift giving season with that narcissist in your life, or maybe it's just a red flag that, you're kind of suspecting that person, maybe a narcissist. This is the red flag. These are the red flags that'll tell you, yeah, this definitely is a person that maybe I don't want to be spending the rest of my life with. So the first thing that they might give you is exercise equipment. I actually had one of my cousins, her now ex-husband, gave her an abdominizer for one of her birthdays. This is a long time ago. I don't even think that thing exists anymore. But if they're giving you some kind of exercise equipment, then they might be telling you, maybe you could look a little bit better. Maybe you need to lose a little bit of weight, something like that. It's like a subtle little message. It's like, here's a gift, and also a dig and a devalue. So, if you're getting some kind of a gym membership or a Peloton or something like that, maybe it's exactly what you wanted, but also maybe it isn't. And maybe it's a little subtle devaluing dig that the narcissist is giving to you. And if you want to know about narcissistic devaluing, check out my video on narcissistic devaluing, and you can learn all about the different phases of a narcissistic relationship there. And the second gift from that precious little gift giver is tickets to a concert that is their favorite artist, or maybe it's a gift certificate to their favorite restaurant, not yours, or something around, you know, here's a gift for you, I get to come with you, and it's really my favorite thing to do, something like that. So, you know, if you get something like that, it's sort of like this subtle, you know, I don't really want to have to give you a gift. I mean, narcissists don't really like having to give gifts. They sort of feel like you're making me do something that I don't want to have to do. You know, remember that they're 2-year-olds in adult bodies, so they feel obstinate. You know, I don't want to have to do this. Nobody else should have anything. I should be the one with the attention. I should be the one who, you know, who's getting gifts. I don't want to have to do anything for anybody else. If I have to do something for someone else, it's going to be the bare minimum, and it's going to be, you know, as little skin off my back as possible. So why not give a gift that I at least get some benefit out of too? So that's kind of like the thinking around that. And number 3 is framed photos of themselves. And, you know, this kind of goes in, it helps them in a couple of different ways. One is, obviously, you would want a framed photo of just them. But number 2 is then you have to display it. And then everybody gets to see how much you adore and adulate and love this person. So it kind of is like a twofold gift that way, because now you get this picture of this person and you have to display it, and everybody else gets to see a picture of this person out in your house or your room or wherever as well. And number 4 is something off the sale rack or the clearance rack, because remember, as I said, they don't really want to have to give you a gift. Like, this is something that they know they have to do. So they, you know, if it's a birthday or it's a holiday or something like that, then they'll do the bare minimum. They know they have to show up with something because they don't want to look bad. But if they can get something that looks like it was expensive, like it came from the right store, the right place, but they actually didn't have to really spend that much money for it, that's even better, because now they kind of delight in that a little bit. Like, look at this, like I don't have to really spend that much money on this person, and I get credit for giving a gift. You know, they don't think about the fact, like, oh, let me find something that's really going to make this person happy. Let me listen to what it was that you know, that they loved. Oh, I heard them mention one time that they really liked this thing. Let me go back and find it. This will make them happy. There's none of that. They don't get any pleasure from seeing others happy. Like, that's the last thing that they want. They don't want to see anybody else happy because they just want that satisfaction for themselves. And if you think narcissists are so selfish, give me a so selfish in the comments. So the next thing that they might give you is something that isn't even in your size. And, you know, it might be a piece of clothing or something like that, but it's not your size. And this might happen because, first of all, they maybe don't even care what size you actually are, or they haven't taken the time to look, or maybe they didn't even take the time to look at whatever it was that they were picking out because they were just so quickly trying to spend as little time, as little money, and as little effort as possible in this. Or it might be some little subtle message like, you're a tiny petite, but I'm gonna give you a large because I'm going to give you give myself the opportunity to devalue you and make you think that I think that you're fat, and kind of give me an opportunity to call you something without actually saying it. So, giving you something that's not your size, something like that, because, they love passive aggressiveness, especially the covert narcissist. And if you want to know more about how covert narcissists attack, check out my video on the attack of the covert narcissist, but passive aggression is definitely one of their favorite things to do. So by giving you something that's not quite your size, there's a little passive aggressive opportunity to dig at you. And the next one is a promise of a gift in the future. You know, narcissists are future fakers. If you want to know more about that, check out my video on future faking. But, you know, they might even just show up with nothing for you at all and say, oh, it's because I have no money, I didn't have time, you know, I tried to order something online, it didn't work, you know, some other lie or whatever it is. And so they just show up with nothing, but you are supposed to be so enamored by the fact that they're going to give you something in the future, that they will do something for you amazing coming up. Next week we'll do this, or next month you'll have this. When this money comes in, I'll get you that. And that's supposed to be your fantastic gift. The truth of the matter is, even if they have no money at all, they could certainly write you a nice letter or do something for you. You know, rub your feet, you know, like, you know, little coupons for things that they can do for you or something like that, some kind of effort or thought put into the situation. But if it's just a promise of something in the future, that could be a really big red flag. The next one is regifting a gift from someone else. I actually saw this happen to someone where this person received a gift of a belt buckle and a belt that this person was obviously a re-gift, and they didn't even take the time to notice that the belt didn't fit into the buckle because they were just so into, I'm just going to re-gift this thing, and therefore I spent no time, no money, and no effort, and I hopefully get the credit for getting this person a gift. And the last one, drum roll please, is something that they know that you hate. How great is that for passive aggression? You hate chocolate? Well, here's a big, massive box of Godiva chocolates for you. Fabulous. You know I hate chocolate. Oh, no, I didn't like. You don't like my gift for you? Oh, my gosh, I spent so much time. I spent so much money. Oh, my God. And now they, poor babies, become the victims because you don't appreciate them. And it all becomes about that. And so don't you dare try to bring up the fact, why would you get me something that you know that I hate, right? So there they are, the dears. If you get any of these gifts during the holidays, then it may be a red flag that that person that you're with might be a narcissist.
Narcissists have a confession to make, and that is that they are way more afraid of you than you are of them, especially in court cases, mediation cases, or any kind of cases where you have to negotiate with them. But you know what? I have a confession to make too. I'm sick and tired of these people bullying you and making you feel exhausted and paying way too much in attorney's fees and dragging you through the mud. My name is Rebecca Zung, and I'm an attorney. I've been recognized by U.S. News as one of the best lawyers in America. And in fact, I was so sick and tired of these people bullying you that I started studying narcissism so that I could beat them in the courtroom. And now I'm here to make the case so that you can win too. I developed a 4-part proven blueprint that has helped tens of thousands of people take back their freedom, win, and get back their power. And now I'm sharing it with you in a special live event, Outsmart the Narcissist, the 4-part proven plan to take back your power. 4 simple steps, 1 free live event, 1 free hour of your life. That's what stands between you being in hell and you being free. Join me, click the link for Outsmart the Narcissist, the 4-step proven plan to take back your power. Just click the link and let's go.
Okay. 5 red flags that you have received a gift from a narcissist, and make sure you watch till the end. Number 1, let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the beginning of the relationship. The beginning is the love bombing phase, the love bombing. This is when they're trying to draw you in. They want to bring you in. They're trying to make sure that they get you. So you're going to see huge gifts, huge, massive gestures, This is when they're trying to sweep you off your feet. So the red flags are massive gifts, sweep you off your feet gifts, unbelievable stuff, flowers that fill the room, things that blow you away, dinners every single night, things that your mind is blown. They show up at your house or office with things that you can't even believe. So thoughtful. Everything you could possibly imagine. Your mind is absolutely blown, but it doesn't last very long. So the love bombing phase, they make you dinner, foot rubs. I mean, if it's a business partner, they have brought you every possible client you can ever imagine. I can't even describe the gifts. It's perfect. It's massive gestures. It's out of control during the idealization or the love bomb phase. It's amazing and it doesn't last very long, but it's enough that your mind is blown and it sweeps you off your feet. You are in like Flynn. You're sold. They make sure that you are in. You're moved in, you're signed on the dotted line, whatever it is. They've got you. Once they have you, now they know you're a good source of supply. Now the conditioning starts. Now they're testing to make sure that you're that good source of supply. So the types of gifts that you'll see during this phase will be the cheapest thing that they could possibly get away with. It might be the bare minimum, the last minute, I ordered it, hasn't come yet. It's on its way. It's at my mother's house. I'm planning it. I had to work, but I'm putting something together. And there's always sort of this thing where you end up sort of making excuses for them because you had it so good during the love bomb and idealization phase that you kind of help make the excuses for them. You want it so bad to be good that you actually kind of help them along. And it's not good. It's not good, but you do. And plus you don't want the world to know that maybe things aren't as good as it should have been. Right? Or they might give you a picture of themselves or something that's like something of their shirt or their something, but it's meant to be like, oh, it's to remember them by or to bond you together or something. And you think it's all sweet and nice, but it's kind of like a little bit weird, but it's okay. Or it might be like their favorite thing or their favorite concert or their favorite restaurant, but you think it's kind of sweet and cute because it's like they want to share it with you even though it's not for you really. You kind of still find yourself sort of making excuses for it because it's something they want to share with you. You sort of start wrapping your head around why it's all good because it's for you guys. It's for us. There's a way to kind of rationalize that it was a great gift in some way. Even though in your heart of hearts, in your gut, you sort of know it really wasn't the greatest, but you kind of figure out a way to sort of rationalize it in some way. But it really wasn't as good as during the love bomb phase, but you kind of figure out a way to kind of maybe, but you sort of know it wasn't really the greatest. Or maybe they sort of forgot, but you kind of figure out a way to sort of rationalize it. All right, so that's the next sort of phase. And then it starts to get even worse and worse and worse as the devaluing goes on and on and on until you get to, you get past that discard phase, it gets even to the bottom. And then you're at the end of the relationship and you're done. And then it gets into the hoovering and the future faking. And then you get into the only really thing you get. At the end of the day, number 5, told you I saved the best for last. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for this one because, we all do at the end of the day because we want to so bad. The empty promise, the future fake. That's the gift. They show up empty handed. The gift of the nothing, the gift that they're going to give you, the gift that I couldn't afford it, but it's going to happen, or I'm going to be better. You'll see. You're going to have everything you wanted. It's all going to be amazing. And you're going to have everything you deserved and everything you wanted. It's all going to happen in the future, especially if it's in the hoovering phase, meaning the discards happen. It's all 6 months down the road, 2 months down the road, even if it's, after in the hoovering phase, it's definitely going to be better. Give me a chance, or maybe it's going to be a trip. That's when it's going to be, you'll see. Give them a chance, give her a chance. And they go back into whatever they were able to say at the beginning to get you to charm you at the beginning, but without the gifts, of course. So that's the Hoover phase, the nothing but the empty promise at the end. So that's number 5. And I'm telling you, they are so good sometimes. Narcissists are very charming. That's how they get so far in life. So it does work a lot of the times, but not for you. You guys have seen it. I know you have 7 ways that you can 100% rely on narcissists. There's lots of things that you can rely on narcissists not to do, but what can you 100% rely on them to do? Okay. Number one, you can 100% rely on them to ruin special occasions. And why is that? Why do they love to ruin special occasions? Well, they don't want to see you getting the attention. They hate when you are getting attention or other people are getting attention. I mean, that's just the bottom line. There is a supreme example in the whole Will Smith Jada situation. I'm telling you, what a better example than right there. Here it was, the pinnacle of his career. He is supposed to get his Oscar, and Chris Rock is there. He's supposed to make jokes about celebrities. That's his job. And, I get that this is my opinion, but, he makes a joke about Jada's bald head. And everybody knows at this point that 2 days before the Oscars, she had made a TikTok video that said, I don't give two craps about this bald head. She said she didn't care about it. Chris Rock says something about the bald head, and everybody's laughing, including Will Smith. And what happens? She gives him the look. If you had read Will Smith's book, you know that he was triggered by that because he didn't protect his mom, or he felt like he was supposed to have protected his mom when he was 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old. And his father, he had beaten his mom when he was a kid, and he felt like he should have been able to protect her. And so when Jada gave him the look, he was triggered by that. And so there he goes, and he goes up there and he does this thing, and she ruins that special occasion for him. But I've done other videos on YouTube about that, where why narcissists love to ruin holidays. I highly encourage you to check those out. Why do narcissists love to ruin holidays? Why do they love to ruin your birthday? Because they can't stand for other people to be getting that attention. They just absolutely drives them crazy because other people are taking that supply away from them.
So you can 100% rely on a narcissist to ruin special occasions. That's number one. Number two, the next thing that you can 100% rely on a narcissist to do is treat strangers better than you. You can 100% rely on that because it's that face, right? That outward thing, where they are 100% want to look better than to the outside world. That's that diamond level supply that I talk about. That is more important to them than what's going on inside because, they don't have that internal sense of value. So they're constantly trying to feed their emptiness inside and trying to feed it from external sources is better than internal sources. And so, because they already have you right there, and they can treat you poorly, degrading you, debasing you, and controlling you, and they get a sense of supply from that as well. So that's another form of supply that they're already getting from you. So by adulate them, like in other words, they want the strangers to give them adulation and compliments and that sort of thing. And if they can get that from the strangers, oh, you're so wonderful, you're so amazing, all that sort of thing. Well, then that's even better from their perspective. So that's why they treat strangers better than you. And so you can definitely 100% rely on that. They want strangers to think that they're wonderful. They're basically love bombing the strangers all the time. So you can 100% rely on that. So, the number three thing that you can 100% rely on a narcissist to do is project and deflect. They will always project and deflect, meaning they're not going to take responsibility. So, if you for sure show like you were supposed to do this thing, or, I used to have people who would work for me or whatever, and they were supposed to complete a task or whatever. Oh, it was always somebody else. It was somebody else's fault. It was always something happened or whatever. They can never, ever, ever take responsibility, project and deflect it, or it's your fault. If you had just been better, or if this had just happened, or whatever, they can never, ever, ever take responsibility. And part of that is because they don't have any sense of self-worth. They don't have any sense of value. And so if they have to take responsibility, then somehow it takes away from them. So that's number three. Number four is what I call lying and denying. It's very closely related to projecting and deflecting, but it's a little bit different. And that is that, they will always lie and deny. And so again, even if you present like complete a text message or obvious evidence that says you did this thing, you said this thing, no, didn't happen, nope, lying and denying. They will absolutely lie right to your face. And hey, that becomes great leverage, by the way. If you end up having to litigate against them, you end up having a case with them, that's how you build your case. That's how you start building your summaries. That's how you start building your leverage, which is what I teach you guys. And if you want to know more about what happens when you catch a narcissist in a lie, definitely have a YouTube video on that. Highly encourage you guys to check that out. And if you agree with me so far, highly encourage you, write amen in the comments here, because you know that what I'm saying is true so far, right? I know you guys have seen this. So, 100% you can rely on a narcissist to do these things so far, right? All right. So the number five thing that you can 100% rely on a narcissist to do is gaslight. All narcissists gaslight. Whether you're dealing with a covert narcissist, a grandiose narcissist, a malignant narcissist, whatever supreme kind of narcissist you're dealing with, you can 100% rely
on a narcissist to gaslight. They all gaslight. So, what is gaslighting? Gaslighting is when they're trying to make you think you're crazy. I mean, they literally are trying to basically say that what you're seeing with your eyes, what you're hearing with your ears, what you're experiencing with your senses is not true, is not happening, is not what you're experiencing. And it literally eventually makes you think that you're crazy. I mean, I've been honest and candid with you guys in the sense that I have dealt with narcissists in my own life, not just in my law practice, which obviously I've seen a ton of them in my law practice as well, but I've had to deal with a couple of covert narcissists in my personal life. I had one as a business partner, and my husband and I had one in our family. And, you know, I've personally had to deal with gaslighting, and it's really just insane when you're experiencing this gaslighting, when you know you've had a conversation with somebody and they literally come back and say, "Oh, we talked about that, don't you remember?" And you know you didn't have that conversation, or you know that the conversation was something different than what you talked about. It's crazy. Or when they are presenting something that's completely different. I've actually seen it in court. I've actually seen lawyers who will say, "This is what the court order said." And the court order says something completely different. And even when presented with what the court order actually says, they'll say, "Well, I know that's what it says, but that's not what it says." And trying to convince the judge that it says something different, even though in black and white it'll say something different, just to try to see if they can get the judge to be convinced. And sometimes the judge will be convinced. I mean, it's pretty powerful, this gaslighting sometimes. So it's a scary kind of a tactic when somebody can be that influential, and especially when they're working on that person all the time. It's a tactic to destabilize you. It's a control tactic, and they've used it daily, day in and day out over time and over years. It can definitely be very, very effective. So that's number 5, and that's gaslighting. So number 6 of the 7 things that you can 100% rely on a narcissist to do is love bombing. And I also include in here, this number 6, future faking, narcissist faux apologies. You know, some people say apologies. I call them faux apologies, FAOU, because they're fake apologies, which they use when they're needed. It's all a manipulation. Everything is a manipulation. Everything they do say, every time they try to love bomb you, it's a manipulation. Every time they try to future fake you, it's a manipulation. It's all a game. It's all meant to manipulate you. It's all an attempt to manipulate you. And this I insert here at number 6 for a reason. The reason why I'm inserting it here at number 6, right before number 7, which I haven't gotten to number 7 yet, and you need to stay until I get to number 7 for a reason, is because this is where you're like, "Oh my God, I can't take it anymore. I'm out of here." You're plotting and planning to get the heck out of there. And if you're in a romantic relationship, you're packing your suitcase, maybe you visited the divorce attorney. If you're in a business relationship, you're finally like, "Okay, how do I get out of this thing?" And now they come back. Now they start to realize, "Oh, they're leaving. My supply is walking out the door." So they start to love bomb you again. Now they start to future fake you. Now they start to apologize because they don't want their supply source to leave. "Oh, things will be better." Or they start to do the things that they were supposed to do in the first place. This is what I saw in my business relationship with the person that I was in the relationship with. All of a sudden, the person started doing all the things that she was supposed to do
before, she started completing all the tasks that she said that she was going to do and then never had done. For me personally, I was like annoyed because I thought, oh, so you did know that what you were supposed to do, you just weren't doing it. So that for me, that wasn't helpful. But for other people, who are in an intimate relationship, they could get sucked back in, and oftentimes very much are, because they hear what they wanted to hear, especially if you've invested a lot of time, you have children, maybe financially you're tied. This is where they're really, really good at saying exactly what they need to say in order to charm that person back into the fold. So 100% you can rely on a narcissist to get that person back, because they don't want to see their supply source gone. Not that they love you. Don't confuse number 6, the love bombing, the future faking, or the faux apology, with love. And it can be very, very confusing. Don't confuse this with they actually have affection for you, they love you, they want you, or anything like that. This is definitely a manipulation. All right, number 7, we made it to number 7. Number 7 is you can 100% rely on them to drain the life out of you, because they are sucking all of that energy from you. They are energy vampires. Before I knew these terms, I used to say that, when I was dealing with a narcissist, I used to say it was like a leech. I didn't know why I felt that way, but I felt that way. I mean, you can 100% rely, because it is a black hole. That need for supply that they have, it can never be filled. You are expected to try to fill it, but you can never fill it. And so that's number 7, is you can 100% rely on them to drain the life out of you, and you will end up feeling completely depleted, completely drained, and you're going to end up feeling like your soul is sucked. Fed up with narcissists walking all over you? Sick of everyone believing their lies while you're paying through the nose in attorney's fees? What if you could hold all the cards for a change? Hey, I'm Rebecca Zung. I'm a top 1% trial attorney, a USA Today bestselling author, and I've spent my entire career helping people slay narcissists in negotiations, most recently through my proven slay method. What if your suffering could become your superpower? Imagine turning all that pain into power, not just for you, but for others too. This is your chance to take back control. You can finally win. Become a high conflict negotiation certified coach. Help others while transforming your own life, and do good for the world. This is your chance. Go to RebeccaZung.com/apply, and I'll show you how to turn the tables for good starting today. Okay, so let's talk about gaslighting. What is gaslighting anyway? Well, gaslighting is something that all narcissists use. It is a really disgusting way of getting someone to just completely doubt their reality. It's a way to destabilize people, especially in negotiating. And that's what I talk about. That's what I teach people how to do. I've seen people be destabilized in negotiating. What happens is they just like start to question their own mind. So the way I've seen it used in a number of different ways, but basically it's, we talked about that. Don't you remember? I don't remember talking about that. Or they take like threads of things and they say that happened this way or that way, and it didn't really quite happen that way or this way. And they kind of deconstructed and reconstructed it in a different way. And so you just start to question your own mind. And it actually came from
a movie and then also a play from like the 30s or 40s, and was actually called Gaslight. And the husband was trying to get the wife to think that she was crazy. So he would blow out these gas lights and she would say, "Wasn't that just lit?" And he would say, "No, no, it wasn't." That's how that term actually came about. Because he was actually trying to think she was crazy. So I've actually had it happen to me a number of times in various relationships with covert narcissists. My actual least favorite, because I've had to deal with covert narcissists myself. So what are the hidden signs of gaslighting? Well, so what they will do is they'll say something like, "Oh my goodness, you're so sensitive. You're so overly dramatic." Like basically just trying to make somebody feel like they have no right to feel that way. And they kind of just sort of like weave it in a way that just sort of like, "Oh, where did that come from?" It is a way of gaslighting. It's just sort of like makes you sort of question like, "Oh, where did that come from?" It's like a little poke and it's a little way to just sort of like make somebody feel like they have no right to feel that way. Covert it's a really little way of something that covert narcissists definitely use. And with covert narcissists, they always have this way of like using plausible deniability so that if anybody ever questions it, it's like it just seems like, "What? I didn't say anything. It doesn't seem that bad. It doesn't seem, oh, they seem so nice." Nothing ever seems out of place. No hair ever seems out of place. Nothing ever seems bad. But the person themselves are kind of questioning what's going on. Another one is like projection and deflection. Like you bring something up and then they just sort of change the subject. And it's like all of a sudden you're not talking about what you wanted to talk about. And so it's a way of sort of putting that person down and letting them know that they don't matter to you, but you just didn't really realize what happened. Or they kind of question the way you brought something up or the tone of the way you brought something up. And so it's a constant sort of way of sort of belittling you. So you never really get to talking about what you wanted to talk about. Your feelings don't matter, or whatever it is that you wanted to bring up never gets talked about, but it's just constantly shifted. But it's because of the way you brought it up, when you brought it up, how you brought it up. It's just constantly projected off into something else, or we'll talk about it later. That's a way of sort of gaslighting you as well. And by the way, I have a whole video on how to gaslight the narcissist, how to flip that script, and you can definitely check that video out if you'd like. And if you are so ready to turn the tables on narcissists, give me a turn the tables in the comments below. I know you are so ready to turn the tables. And then, another way is like, "This never happened," or "That never happened." They twist the way things happened. They want to record your conversations, but then they accuse you of being petty, which is very interesting. It's just like you constantly feel like you need to defend yourself when you're dealing with them. And, here's the thing: narcissists, they all engage in gaslighting. That is just something that happens with narcissists. It is something that they all do. They just can't help themselves. It's just part of their DNA. There's just something off. You just feel it when you are dealing with them, that sort of thing in your chest, or that pit in your gut. It's just always happening. And they do come from this premise that all people are manipulative. That's just how they feel all the time. They feel like they're protecting themselves from being manipulated, because they feel that all people are manipulative. I mean, they come from this place of survival. That's how they are in the world. It's kind of a sad thing. It is, but you can't save them. I know, I see you empaths out there. I know you think that you can, but you can't. Just don't think that you can. Just protect yourself. Do what you need to do to protect yourself.
So it's time for you to spot narcissists in less than a minute flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the signs that you are dealing with a narcissist. The first one is that they need to be the center of attention. Now, there's a number of different ways that they can show up as being the center of attention. It's not always, hey, look at me. I'm the best. I'm the brightest, boasting, bragging. I used to think that that was how they always showed up. I was wrong. Believe me, when I was dealing with a covert narcissist, which was a female business partner that I had, and I've been dealing with narcissists for a long time, but it wasn't until I was a target of one that I really realized this and really started to be on this mission to help you. And that's when I started this YouTube channel, that I really realized how horrible and heinous narcissists could be. They can show up as wanting the center of attention by presenting themselves as the victim, as poor me. Oh, life is so awful. And then they manipulate people in that way. And that's actually way more toxic than the look how great I am type of narcissist. The type that shows themselves to be oh, this person wronged me, or I can never get my way, or the type that guilts people into doing things. They're actually, I think, far worse, far stealthier, really a smarter type of narcissist. I don't want to say smarter, but a savvier type of narcissist than the boasting one that everybody kind of knows and can spot more readily. So you got to be very careful about that other type of narcissist that also wants that attention and has that need to be that center of attention, but goes about it in a different type of way. So you can spot them right away as well, but they're going about trying to be the center of attention in a different way. They're presenting themselves as the victim, but again, they have this need to constantly be the center of attention. They're just putting themselves as the center of attention in a different way. They can also put themselves as the center of attention by immediately putting themselves the center of a crisis. Somebody is sick. Somebody is hurt. They know to put themselves there right away. But you got to look to see, is this person only showing up if there's sort of like a photo op or the right people are watching, they're not necessarily helping if the right people aren't watching. That's the kind of thing that I've noticed about covert narcissists as well. They have this need to be the center of attention. Are they not helping the people in the hospital or the cancer patient or whatever if they don't think they're going to get credit for it, that sort of thing? I know that sounds horrible, but that's what really happens with these narcissists. Okay. So that's number one. And by the way, if you are negotiating with a narcissist in any sort of situation, and you're trying to figure out how to do it and you're not really sure what to do, I do have a free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet, which you can get at crushmydeal.com. And I encourage you to get it. It's a free ebook, crushmydeal.com. The second thing that you can do, that you can spot, the second way that you can spot a narcissist is, they're always going to be presenting as super charming, super persuasive, especially when they want to get something. They really know how to mirror you. They know how to look the part of charming, persuasive. They're usually well groomed, good looking, well spoken, and they usually know how to read whoever it is that they want to get something from, especially at the beginning of a relationship. They definitely know how to turn that on. But even as the relationship goes on, as that bloom is coming off the rose, if you're starting to come on to them and you're starting to realize, oh, you know what, maybe I don't even want to be in this relationship anymore, they start to go, oh, well, let me snap this person back into my life, then they pull you back in by turning that charm back on, by being persuasive again, by saying the things that you want to hear. And it's also known as future faking or something like that. And even after the relationship is over, they can come back in and turn that charm back on sometimes, which is sometimes known as hoovering. They know how to turn on that persuasiveness, turn on that charm. No one is more charming or more persuasive than narcissists. Okay, so they're incredibly, incredibly persuasive and charming. So that's the second thing. The next thing is they have a huge, huge sense, grandiose sense of self importance. They believe that they're more important than anyone else. Not only do they think that they're more important than anyone else, but they believe that they should be treated more importantly than anyone else. And they believe that they should be treated more specially than anyone else, that they, should be the most special person in the room, that they should have special treatment. And so, this is the person who will go into restaurants and expect the best table, or expect the best treatment, or expect the best special menu, send the steak back if it's not prepared in exactly the right way. I know for me, like, I have been in situations where my husband and I have been with people who, they send food back. I'm not talking about small things, but I'm talking about where they have mistreated wait staff and been talking down to wait staff and treated people in a horrible, horrible way. And I'm telling you, it is embarrassing. I was with another family one time where the wife actually got up and left and demanded that their entire family all leave too, just because water wasn't brought to the table exactly when she wanted it and the way she wanted it, and tried to stiff the family on, the wait staff on a bill, and then ended up not tipping the wait staff. I mean, it was horrible and it was horribly embarrassing. But, this is the kind of thing that they do. They expect special treatment, they expect to be treated uniquely, they expect to be, catered upon, that sort of thing. And if they're not, then they take this as actual criticism sometimes, and they are extremely sensitive to criticism. So that's the next one. The next one is that they are extremely sensitive to criticism, overly sensitive to criticism, and they cannot handle being disagreed with in any way, shape, or form. Even if you're not disagreeing with them, sometimes you are actually just having your own opinion about something. But if they see this as you disagreeing with them, then it becomes this massive, huge fight. It can be embarrassing at dinner tables, it can be embarrassing at parties. And, they can actually cause issues at holidays, issues at birthdays, family parties, family reunions, even if you didn't even mean anything. They're very, very easily slighted. You can be saying, I wasn't even saying anything about you. You can be saying, let's just agree to disagree. I was not even looking your direction. But a lot of times they can't handle that. This is where you see incidents of road rage or whatever, because you see these people who are highly, highly sensitive. And what's going on is that narcissistic injury is being triggered. It causes this narcissistic rage to come flying out. And there it is, right? And so if you see that, you've spotted a narcissist. You've spotted that narcissist in 1 minute or less, right? And this is one of those signs that you are dealing with a narcissist. So we are heading down through the list, and we still have many more signs that you are dealing with a narcissist. Okay, the next one is that they need constant, constant admiration and affirmations from others. It's like you can't say anything nice about anyone else, by the way. Like if you can just say, you could say something nice about the dog. Oh, the dog did a good job today in pet school. Did I do a good job? Did I do a good job today? Like they want constant affirmations, constant admiration. What about me? Did I do a good job? You have to constantly be feeding that ego, that black hole that's going on inside of them. It's exhausting, quite frankly, to be around these people because you have to almost be constantly be thinking about their ego and how are they going to be taking things and how are they going to be handling it if you do this or if you do that. And this is what you mean about this walking on eggshell thing, because if I talk to this person, how are they going to perceive this? Or if I show up in this car, how are they going to perceive that? Every single thing is going to have to be filtered through. How is this person going to be perceiving this? Because you have to be constantly thinking about this person's ego, right? But their need for affirmations and admiration is just constant. I remember one time I actually interviewed a secretary for a legal position, a legal secretary, and she flat out told me in the interview, I need lots of admiration. I need lots of words of affirmation. And I remember thinking, oh, thank you for telling me straight up front, because I don't want to have to be like on the hook for thinking about this all the time. Not that I don't give lots of praise to people, but I was like concerned that what if I don't give enough and this woman was going to be thinking that I wasn't giving enough, and it was like too much pressure for me. So I didn't end up hiring her just for that reason. Okay, so the next one is they're often manipulative, using, exploiting, they take advantage of others. They want to use people. They're opportunists. These people see relationships as transactional. If I do something for you, what are you going to do for me? I'm not doing anything for you unless you're going to do something for me. It's just everything is back and forth. It's a using type of a relationship. I'm going to use you for whatever I can get out of you, and I'm assuming you're using me too. I'm manipulating you, you're going to manipulate me. It's a very mistrusting, distrusting type of world, and that's how they are in this world. Right? It's difficult to be in a relationship with them, and they lack empathy. They don't actually really care about people because they're just constantly in this scarcity mode. I don't have enough to give. And so I can't care about you because I'm in survival mode all the time. I don't have enough to think about. It's like this pain. It's like if I'm starving, I can't think about you. So that's why they don't have any empathy. This is what it is that you're dealing with when you're dealing with a narcissist. And they're jealous. They're jealous all the time because of that. They feel like everybody else has more, and so they're in this world of envy constantly, and looking to see what if somebody else has more than they do, and if they do, then they're jealous of that, because they believe that they should be better than everyone else, right? And if you've seen any of these so far, give me a totally in the comments. Just write totally in the comments. I know that you guys have. The last few that I have are that they are arrogant. They can be very, very arrogant, extremely haughty, very difficult to deal with. Oftentimes, they can be impulsive. They don't think about what it is that they're doing because all they can think about is right in front of their face. So, what happens is that the people around them end up having to clean up their messes. You end up being the responsible ones because they're just thinking about right in front of their face, and they don't think about long term issues, long-term problems. And so they end up being very, very irresponsible types of people, and they're preoccupied with these fantasies of success and these fantasies of what's going to happen and power and brilliance or beauty or ideal love a lot of times. And what I see in negotiations, by the way, is they will actually take themselves down to take you down. And that's the thing that you don't even realize, by the way. I think a lot of times people are so afraid of narcissists, but they don't realize that they're actually horrible negotiators for the long term because they don't think about long term. They're actually very impulsive. They just think about, how can I get this person right now? They only think in terms of black and white, good or bad. So they just want to get the person who is, they think they perceive to be the enemy. So they want to take them down before they take you down or whatever. You could take them down or whatever, because now you're public enemy number one. And so they don't think strategically long term the way they should a lot of times. Those are some of the ways that you can spot a narcissist in 1 minute. And that's why my slay methodology actually works better on narcissists than the way they negotiate, because my slay methodology is strategy, leverage, anticipate, and focus on you. You are actually better at being a negotiator against them than they are for themselves. Making that transition between summer and fall is always a crazy thing. And that's why I love having a leather jacket, like my gorgeous one from Quince. And they have timeless and high quality items, which I love. And they don't blow my budget, which I also love. They have cashmere sweaters and washable silk tops. And everything is like 50 to 80% less than other brands, which I also love. They cut out the middleman. They pass the savings on to us, which is also amazing. It's safe and ethical, which I also love. I really love my brown leather jacket from them. It's super stylish and it's high quality. Just love that. So make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/negotiate for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/negotiate to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/negotiate. Okay, so 5 traits of extremely toxic people. I've seen them myself. I've seen them punch walls. I've seen them do all kinds of crazy things, and I can spot them a mile away. And I want you to be able to spot them a mile away. So make sure you watch all the way till the end, because I'm going to be giving you each one of them, and I'm going to save the best one till the end. All right. So, number 5 trait of extremely toxic people is they never take responsibility for their actions. It's always project and deflect. Project and deflect. It's always someone else's fault, right? It's always someone else. It's never their
fault. And boy, have I seen this. They're so good at making it someone else's fault, making sure that someone else gets to take the blame. And, this is something you definitely see a lot with narcissists, especially when they get caught in lies. And I definitely have a video on that. What happens when you catch a narcissist in a lie? They project and deflect it's someone else's fault, and they never take responsibility for their actions. And part of the reason why you see narcissists never take responsibility for their actions is because they have that fragile inner sense of self, that fragile sense of inner child, inner self, which is like if they take responsibility somehow for themselves, then it takes away from who they are. Then it takes away from, somehow they fall apart. Somehow they don't survive. Somehow there's like that hollow inner self, and they literally become unglued. They literally become triggered. That inner sense of self is so fragile that they have to push it off on other people. They don't feel whole, they don't feel complete. And so that's why they never take responsibility for their actions. That's the first trait of extremely toxic people. So if you have one of those people around you that just never takes responsibility, then run for the hills. Number 4 is people who are very critical, always making you wrong, always making you feel like you're small, always making you feel like you are to blame for their problems. It's always you. You are the problem. You're the one. It's never their fault. It's never them. They don't have to ever take responsibility for anything that they do, and you're the one that triggers them. You're the one who has the problem. They're very critical, extremely judgmental of everything around them. They don't like anyone. If that's how they are, there's something very wrong. But they're always making you feel small, you feel bad. And if you're around them and you are constantly feeling small and bad, then you know that they're probably extremely toxic. You want to be around people that when you walk away from them, you feel lighter, you feel better. They're fanning your flames. You feel like, I just want to be around that person more because they make me feel really great every time I'm around them. All right. So that's number 4. Number 3 is a person who is always making themselves out to be a victim. That's the third type of person who's extremely toxic. Have you ever been around this type of a person? They're just constantly a victim. They're constantly, everything is woe is me. Everything is bad. No matter how much it seems like their life is great, they're just always a victim. Covert narcissists are really, really great at that. And if you want to know more about covert narcissists, I definitely have a video about covert narcissists, about especially covert narcissism in relationships, and you should definitely check that out. All right. So that's number 3. And if you guys have seen this so far, give me a totally in the comments. So that's number 3. Number 2, this is where the person is just always talking bad about other people. This is that one who's just like constantly talking bad about other people behind their backs. And you just know they're definitely talking bad about you too. I mean, if they're talking bad about other people to you, you know they're talking bad about you when they're with other people too. I mean, that's just how people are. And so that's just a trait of an extremely toxic person. People who feel good about people don't do that. And I go back to the 4 agreements, which is never to take anything personally. This is a book which I highly recommend. It's one of my top reads. And it's 4 agreements that you make with yourself. One of the agreements is to never take anything personally, because people treat other people the way they feel about themselves, good or bad. So if somebody treats other people badly, it's because they feel bad about themselves. Hurt people, right? So if somebody feels good about themselves, then they treat other people well. If somebody feels like crap about themselves, then they treat other people poorly. And so people who talk badly about other people, it's just somebody who just feels toxic inside. So they just are toxic person in general. And that's just not the type of person that you really want to spend your time with. There's an old saying that says, if you really want to know where you are in life, take a look around and see who the top 5 people are in your life. And that'll tell you where you are in life and what kinds of a quality of where you are in life. So you want to make sure that the top people in your life are super quality people. I always say defend your light with your life and make sure that the people who are closest to you are people who you really want to defend your spirit and defend your light. Right. So that's number 2. And number 1, the number 1 most toxic person in the world, people who lie, people who don't have integrity, right? Liars, 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 pants on fire. People who don't have integrity. Without integrity, nothing works. People who lie. And those narcissists, they are pathological liars. They lie about everything. They lie about things they don't even need to lie about, which is the crazy thing to me. And that's where you end up getting your leverage, by the way. That's where you end up being able to create your patterns, create your strategy, all that good stuff for your cases, for your negotiations. What if you could just take a shot and lose all the weight you wanted to? I know for me, a few years ago, I was dealing with thyroid issues, menopause issues, autoimmune issues, all the things, and I gained a bunch of weight and I lost it all, but it took forever. And I wish that something like Body had been around back then to help me lose the weight. But now you get the benefit of it because Body is now around to help you lose weight. It's just 1 shot a week. And combined with a healthy lifestyle, you can lose 15 to 20% of your weight in a year on average and actually keep it off. They've helped more than 200,000 people so far, and they help you even with support, with getting the medication through your insurance and everything that you need so that you can actually lose the weight. That means that it's such a great opportunity for you now. So average weight loss is 15 to 20% in a year with a healthy lifestyle change, and BMI and other eligibility criteria apply. Go to ro.co/Rebecca. Sign up today and you'll pay just $99 a month for your first month and $145 a month after that. And medication costs are separate. That's ro.co/Rebecca. Okay, so let's talk about this book. It's called Prepare to be Tortured. The author is A.B. Jameson. I've never met this guy, but apparently he is a psychologist and also a guy who has had the misfortune of dating several narcissists until he realized what the heck was going on. And so he decided to write a book about it. So this book, it's a small book, but it's actually also very small print. But I just got it on Amazon, and I'll make sure I drop a link to it below so that if you guys want it, you can grab it too. There are 16 different chapters in this book, and what I love about the introduction is he straight up says, narcissists are bad news. Yeah, that's putting it mildly, huh? Okay, so he also talks about why he was targeted, partially being a nice guy, and partially also because I gave off signals that I would tolerate this behavior.
You don't get your goals, you get your standards. That's one of my favorite quotes, and it's so true. And, for me, I dealt with a couple of narcissists in my own personal life, one in a business setting and one as an extended family member. And I found myself going, well, I don't want to, make waves, or I'll just, go along. How bad could it be? Maybe it'll get better. Maybe they'll see the error of their ways, or maybe they'll see, what a good person I am for them, or how much I do for them. Or maybe they'll just stop. I mean, in the moment, you don't think out long term, right? You just think, well, I don't know. There's some signs, but there's other stuff that's good, and so that's what you end up doing. So, but what he claims in this book is by reading this, you will be able to spot and avoid them, and you will be able to survive them and be a stronger person and be less likely to attract them in the future, which sounds amazing, right? So, chapter 1, he talks about the idealization phase, which oftentimes is called love bombing. And if you want to know more about love bombing, check out my video on love bombing, where I go into much more detail on that. But basically, he talks about how this is the phase where they are almost sort of grooming you. They're looking to see if you are going to be a good source of supply for them. They appear to be perfect, and they're actually excellent at reading people. So, whatever holes you have in your life, they're there to plug them. They're there to fill them. They're there to be that person. They want to be your person. But even at that point, you start to see some little holes in their story. So, the example that he gives in this book is somebody, who's starting to date this guy. And a couple weeks in, he mentions he has two ex-wives. And you're like, no, I'm pretty sure he only mentioned that he had one. And he knows he only mentioned one, but he tells you that no, he definitely told you two. And then when you don't say anything, okay, you've passed their wicked test, their test of toxicity, which is okay, it confirms that you're going to let it go. It confirms that he has the upper hand. It confirms that you're going to be a good source of supply. Then he goes into chapter 2, which is the devaluation phase, the testing period. This is now, he calls it the now let's just see phase. He sets a test like arriving late, forgetting to call, just doing these things that are like, oh, I thought we were on a pattern here. I thought we were responding to each other right away. But then the other person may be upset that you didn't respond right away, but they want to make sure that you're being tested. And then when you ask them about it, now they spin it on you. Now the projection starts. Oh, I'm busy. You know that. I can't be at your beck and call. What do you expect? Things like that. And then you end up feeling guilty, or feeling like, oh, I'm sorry. And maybe you even actually apologize for it. And you actually think, okay, maybe there is something wrong. Maybe I was being overly, um, nagging or whatever. So then the testing continues, right? And sometimes they push it a little too much, even in this phase. And you go, forget it. I'm not going to want to be with this person. And so he actually talks about that in the book. And he gives the example of when you decide you don't want to do that, that's when this person in the example in the book, he said, has lets himself into your house with his spare key. He makes you breakfast. There he is. You can't get rid of him. Now all of a sudden, that overwhelming, to me, it's almost like you can't breathe, overwhelming, like they're right in your space and they're proving to you how wonderful they are once again. And so there you go. You ignore all the red flags, because you know what? It can be so good. The good is like so much better than anybody else. So you have these extreme, situations. It's extremely awesome, and then it's extremely horrible as well. But they want you to just forget about the extremely horrible. Forget about that. Let's move on. The past is past. Now we're moving forward. Okay. And so that's chapter 2. Then the next chapter, he talks about the discard phase. And I've talked about this before. If you want to check out my video on that, you can definitely do that. But this is where you see the birth of the smear campaign. This is where you start to see whether it's you discarding or them discarding. This is when you really start to see you know, war happening, because for a narcissist, you're either for them or against them. You're either a source of supply, or you're going to be a source of supply in a different way. So you're either going to be a source of grade A diamond level supply with your adulation and being under their full control, or you're going to be the next grade level down, which is going to be, then I'm going to prepare to torture you. All right. Because that's when the real torture begins. That's when it's like full on war. You become public enemy number one. And that's what we see at the disintegration of the relationship, whether it's a business relationship or a divorce situation or a romantic relationship that's disintegrating. That's when you start to see that you become public enemy number one. Okay. So, and that's what he says. Chapter 4 is, it's time to be tortured, because you're either going to give them supply in one way, or you're going to give them supply in another way. And you know, during this phase, you might actually also see that hoovering. You might see like obsessive texting, or showing up, or maybe even stalking you. You know, they want to make sure that you don't forget. He talks about narcissists and how they have this endless need for attention. That's in chapter 5. In chapter 6, he talks about their obsessive need for control. He actually says that 16% of the population is narcissistic, and that equates into a 1 in 6 chance that either you, me, or someone very close by will indeed be a narcissist. How fun is that? All right. So, in one of the quotes that he has in here, which I thought was really interesting, which is, by the time you start to feel like you're being used, or you start to begin to doubt yourself, you're already in too deep, which is definitely was my experience as well. He actually also talks about narcissists as friends, and he goes into a little bit of narcissists in the workplace and how narcissists can be out narcissist by other people, and how they use social media. And he talks about dating a narcissist from start to finish in 50 steps, and narcissists and money. And then he actually goes into a whole chapter of red flags, which is how you will be able to spot and avoid narcissists in the future. You know, promises won't be kept. Everything is taken for granted. I mean, I remember with the narcissist, one of the narcissists that I had to deal with, I felt like being in their space was the price for, you know, I had to do something of value for them in order to be in their space. Like that was the price. And then you weren't going to be appreciated for it. It was just like, that's the cost. Like that's the only reason you even get to exist. And it was like really, really hard to describe, but you certainly aren't ever going to be appreciated or valued the way that you want to. And especially when you're dealing with a narcissist in a close relationship, you're like depositing. You're doing all the work and expecting something in return, and you never get anything in return. There's a nice little chapter on here too, chapter 16, on recovering from a narcissist, which is something really, really hard to.
So Ben and Jennifer Lopez are engaged again. And I just want to talk about that in this video, because what is up with that? I get that Jennifer Lopez wants to have a love life, and I'm all for people being happy in their love life. I mean, why not? Why not have a love life and be happily ever after and have romance in your life? And I want people to be together and all that good stuff. Totally. And they should be together if they want to be together. But what is going on with her? And Jennifer is a master at orchestrating her career, I do have to say. I mean, she went from being this dancer and this backup dancer, all of the things that she's been able to do and accomplish and be at the pinnacle and have acting and singing and remain at the top of her game and stay looking incredible. And kudos to her. She looks amazing. But that's all the reason why all of this is actually very puzzling to me, because her love life is, quite frankly, a mess. She goes from one guy to the next all the time. She's all over the place. And the guys that she chooses sometimes are just very puzzling. And, she has to be married or engaged all the time. And what is up with that? It's like she cannot be alone. I just want to break that down. Is she a narcissist? Is Ben a narcissist? I think that there's some red flags going on here, and I just want to talk about them. So, for one thing, she just cannot be alone. She cannot be alone. And why is that? It's like she has to have a man in her life at all times. Like there's no break at any moment, like not even one day in between when she's dating. And then there's like overlap at all times. So, literally she's breaking up with A-Rod and Ben is swooping in. It's like they're passing each other on the driveway, or maybe he's, as A-Rod is packing up his stuff, Ben is moving in or something. I mean, it's that much of an overlap at all times. And I think that there's a red flag in that. And, Ben, there definitely was red flags with him, frankly. I always say that the red flags in a relationship for marriage or for any relationship are what I call the 3 A's. And that's abuse, addiction, and adultery. And certainly with Jennifer Garner, he had 2 of the 3 that we definitely know about, and that is addiction and adultery. I mean, he definitely cheated on her, and he definitely had an addiction. I mean, he was in and out of rehab a couple of times for sure. He had an alcohol addiction for sure. And so as far as this whole relationship, they just got engaged. Why does she have to get engaged? Why does she have to do that? I mean, why can't she just be? Why can't she just go the Oprah route or the Goldie Hawn route and just chill for a little bit? She's got beauty, she's got money, she's got power. She doesn't need to have this love bombing sort of whirlwind, looking at rings, this whole, now we're shopping at Tiffany for rings, but it's the publicity, it's the attention, it's the I'm caught up in the whirlwind of it. And that's the narcissism of it. That's the attention of it. That's the I have to have that attention and that external validation of it. And that's really a red flag to me, because she can't just be grounded. She can't be okay with just being in her own space and in her own power. That tells me that there's not an internal sense of value, that it's all coming from external, that she can't be alone, that she's not feeling okay with just being herself, that she needs this external attention from men, that she needs this external attention from the public, that she needs to be swept off of her feet, that she needs all of this stuff going on, that she needs the attention from external sources, that there's a fragile sense of ego going on. These are all red flags to me. The problem with that is that at some point, all of this is going to settle down, that you can't sustain this level of energy and heightened emotions and fun and games and excitement and hormones. You can't sustain that. Let's look at his side of the equation. Same thing. Here he's getting all of this attention from, I've got J-Lo back on my arm and I'm getting attention for that. there were red flags on his side of the equation too. He came out at one point and blamed Jennifer Garner for his addictions and said he was trapped in the marriage and that's why he was an alcoholic. Everybody knows that you can't do that, that you have to take responsibility for your own addictions, your own sobriety. You can't make other people wrong for your own addictions. You as an addict have to take responsibility for your own addictions. So that's a huge red flag to me. And that's extremely narcissistic as well. And he was a cheater. So what's the next shiny object going to be for him when all of this settles down? Is he going to go out and cheat again? So when all of the dust settles on this, and maybe they have this massive lavish wedding that gets written up in People magazine or whatever it is, and the dust settles, because it will eventually, and they won't be on page one of everything and being the center of attention, then what? Now they actually have to dig in and actually be in a marriage, which is a lot of work. I've been married for 22 years. I've been in the same relationship with the same guy for 24 years. It's a lot of work, the everyday thing. It's not all butterflies and rainbows every day. You actually have to do the hard work. And if you're a narcissist who wants all the attention all the time, and you want all of the romance and being swept off your feet, and you want to be worshiped, and you want all of that, it's not going to happen every single day, especially when you've got two massive egos and you both want to have big careers and you both want to have a lot of attention from everybody. That's going to be a big problem for both of them. They've got 5 children between them. That's a lot to juggle and a lot to handle, plus 2 exes and all of that. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But my guess is that there's some massive red flags going on here. And I don't see long-term going on here. And, until Jennifer can really figure out who she is and feeling whole and complete without, this massive worship and attention from a man, especially one who also needs to be worshiped and have lots of attention himself, she's probably not going to be getting the happily ever after here that she's looking for, but we'll see.